Mhm. Okay, I think we're live here. Let me just check just to make sure. See what happens here. Mhm. I think we're live here. Let me just check just to make sure. See what happens here. Mhm. I think we're live here. Let me just check just to make sure. See what happens here. Live here. Correct. Just
Correct.
check. All right. So yeah, we're good. So I haven't done a lot of these live streams. Let me cut this one. Cut this. Okay. So I haven't had done a lot of these live streams recently. The last one I did, I think, was Kamala Harris being nominated for the Democratic presidential nomination, and I think the writing was on the wall. So I didn't want to. I was going to do more follow up live streams. Um, After that, but I felt that there was really no need because pretty much the news was over. That's where we last left off. And, a lot has happened since then. Um, my argument meant in those live streams were pretty much that Kamala Harris would become the Democratic nominee. I don't know if I had shared this in the live streams, but I had felt that what the Democratic Party should have done is not only pressured Joe Biden to drop out of the race, but they should have done a sequential plan where he should have dropped out, and then the Democrats should have held their convention. They should have had an open convention, actually. And after the convention, they should have pressured Joe Biden to resign for the presidency, allowing Kamala Harris to assume the presidency. And this would have allowed a lot of the states to have written in Kamala Harris's name as the president of the United States. It would have also given her a lot of media attention. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at the Progressive for Democratic Republic live stream. And please like the video, share it, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. But definitely just like the video for right now. Hopefully, the people on a YouTube or I'm sorry on Facebook are actually watching. But we'll see what happens. So this is the electoral map as it is right now. But um, with 270 to win, that's the name of the website. But as I had been saying that, well, I felt that Biden should have resigned because that what that would have done for the Democratic Party it's is it provided Kamala Harris with a lot of this media attention. She would have become the first female president of the United States and the first woman of color to be elected president of the United States, and that would have been just enormous. And then it would have been an enormous advantage for her for media attention for that entire week. All attention, all eyes would have been on her. You know, Furthermore, it would have given her even more systemic advantages going into November. Uh, like I said before, there's a lot of these ballots. The states have need time to draw up these ballots, put the names of the candidates, and their job description. So right now, in the ballots, her name appears, but it appears that she's the vice president. And U.S. voters, they are U.S. voters tend to not want to fire a sitting president. They only fire a president whenever there's some type of crisis going on, especially economic. Whenever there's an economic crisis, voters will punish the political party in power. Just think back to the 2008 economic crisis. right? The Republican Party was punished in the polls, and they gave Barack Obama a resounding victory. And the economic crisis happened under their watch, and the entire stock market collapsed, precipitating in almost a worldwide global economic crisis. So it's in those occasions where you see this, and you saw this in the previous depression, 1929, and then immediately in 1930, the voters punished the Republicans in the midterm elections. And the Democratic Party, I believe the Democratic Party took control of the Congress for the very first time in a long time in 1930. And a lot of that was in response to the stock market crash back then. The President Kennedy winning in 1960, where there was a economic recession the previous year or two in the country, and so the voters voted in the Democratic Party um, to take over. So a lot of, and in 1968, Nixon wins largely because the public is really not satisfied with the way the administration was handling the Vietnam War, and because there were troops on the ground there. 76 voters punished Gerald Ford, I think largely because he pardoned Nixon, and this was in response to the Watergate scandal of 1973-74, when and the year that Nixon had to resign. You see, for 1980 to 92, Republicans maintained control of the Congress. 92, you have an economic recession. Voters punished the Republican Party and elect Bill Clinton, and he served an 8-year term. Then you have Bush for 8 years and Obama for 8 years. So it's like I said, Kamala Harris has a lot of advantages coming in because her party is the one in power at the moment, and they've just begun. She represents an administration that has just begun its first term. Well, not begun, but they're completing their first term in office. And so if she wins this Tuesday, she would be starting the second term of that Biden Harris administration, you know, and really transitioning into Harris-Walz, and then we'll see what happens in 2028. So I just mentioned that because I feel that had she run as the president of the United States, she would have had an enormous advantage over former President Trump. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at some of the polling that has been done by the Real Clear Politics polls that have come out, and we're going to take a look at this map here, and we're going to see whether how the polling, what type of forecast the polls might give us in this election. Let me just pull up the Real Clear Politics. Oh, here it is. I just found it. Okay, so we're gonna go here. I'll go ahead and see if I can. I think it's share the screen. So here is the poll. Let me see if this is coming out correctly. Of Real Clear Politics. These are the latest polls, and actually a set of polls just dropped today, November 2nd. You have, yeah, they did come out. Okay, you have NBC News, and I believe that, by the way, this is the last poll that NBC News is coming out with. This is the final poll of this election. So they have her in a neck and neck tie. These are the national polls, of course. This is Tip, Emerson. Emerson's kind of well known. Yahoo News, ABC News. These are the more establishment polls here. And Morning Consult. They all pretty much, these have Harris leading, these three right over here. But we really, it's not the popular vote that decides this election. It's the swing states, I'm sorry, that decide this election. And what you want to look at are these states here, where the election, who is going to win the state of Pennsylvania, by the way. And in these polls over here, but these recent, well, these polls dropped today. One, two, three, four. These five polls here is are pretty much giving Harris and Trump pretty much neck and neck tie. Um, Pennsylvania, Biden won Pennsylvania. So if Trump were to win Pennsylvania, he would be flipping those electoral votes. Okay. And if we take a look at the polls here, okay, each specific poll here, your Real Clear Politics average, you have the date, and here you have what's called the sample size. And that's basically when they did the phone calls, whether they called people on their cell phone or this was some type of online poll. They looked at likely voters, and this is a number of likely voters that they um, contacted. And then you have here the margin of error. So what you want to look at here too is that you want to negate these polls here that have a larger than 3% margin of error. And you look at these two polls here, and they have a relatively very small sample size. So the polls here that have a larger sample size here are giving Trump an edge type 2 points, but again, the margin of error here is 2 to 3 points. So that this could be even Harris barely winning. But what according to these polls, the race in Pennsylvania is going to be down to the wire, basically. One candidate's going to win, but it's going to be by a very razor thin margin if these polls are correct. So you take this poll over here, 849. That's not a lot of people that they're sampling. And of course, this one's 600 here. And you look 4.4%. They're saying that it's tied here, but you can't really take these polls here. This one, 4.7. The CNN, well, CNN. So you can't even take this one serious because it's just a relatively small sample size, and they're looking at likely voters. When they tell you that it's likely voters, is they're taking into account whether someone voted in the previous election. So they're giving more weight to that, and they're giving less weight right now to people who are new voters. So somebody who just turned 18 or they're of voting age now in this election, whereas they were not in the previous one. So you got to take this poll with a grain of salt. Okay. If we were to take this Real Clear Politics at face value, but we shouldn't. This is basically they're taking in the entire average of these polls, and they're saying that, well, Trump comes out on top by 0.3%. So let's just go, just for the sake of argument, right? Let's go to the 270 to win. Here it is. And let's say, so this is the map. And by the way, Iowa, that's controversial because Des Moines Register came out with a poll saying that Kamala Harris has like a 4-point lead or something like that in Iowa. So let's just say that Real Clear Politics is right. Let's say it leans right Pennsylvania. So that would give the Republicans 238 electoral votes and the Democrats 226. Now, if that Iowa, now let's say if the Des Moines Register one is accurate, let's just give Iowa to the Democrats and look what happens. Right? So it's neck and neck. So I have to stop the live stream for a moment and attend to someone right now. And thank you so much for watching at the moment. I truly apologize for this. Okay, so I'll do a part 2 later on today. Thank you so much, guys, and have a good day.